This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are over, the decorations are down, and suddenly everything feels a little empty. It's normal to feel the winter blues after the holiday excitement. January, February, and March are by far my least favorite months of the year. It's cold and dark, and I have to get some extra vitamin D on board. I also need to keep my regular scheduled appointments with my therapist. So if you're feeling that post-holiday funk, I definitely suggest you checking out BetterHelp because maybe it's time to talk. You might also be one of those people like me who makes New Year's resolutions and you get super motivated. So maybe you need someone behind you to hold you accountable and come up with a plan to meet your goals. BetterHelp is super convenient, totally online. You have a therapist right at your fingertips whenever you need them. So head over to betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 for 10% off your first month.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Russ, I know you love scary movies, so today I'm going to tell you all about the man who inspired 3 of the most infamous horror film characters to ever grace the silver screen, and possibly Lady Gaga's meat dress. That's right, I'm going to tell you all about the body snatcher known as Ed Gein. Okay. Welcome to Wife of Crime, a true crime podcast out every week where I needed somebody to talk about true crime with, and Russ was here, so I was like, he'll do.
That's me. I'll do.
You'll do. I mean, you have some good insight sometimes.
Yep.
Shut up. All right, so I'm going to tell you the story of Ed Gein. And you're a big horror film guy. You like horror films.
Yeah, I do.
Why do you like them?
I can't always predict what's going to happen next, as opposed to the romantic comedies that you watch that you know exactly what's going to happen next.
Good point.
So they're a little less predictable.
Fun fact, when I met Russ, I hadn't seen a horror movie in years because I saw The Exorcist when I was 9 years old. My father had me watch The Exorcist with him, which was a huge mistake. I was at his house for the weekend, and I was scared out of my mind. 9 years old, who the hell would show a 9-year-old that movie? And it scared me for years.
Good parenting 101 right there.
Right? I was traumatized. So I didn't watch horror movies for years and years. And then I met Russ, and Russ really, really likes horror movies. And you like the super gory ones, too.
Not necessarily gory. That's not true because, what is it, Saw? Saw at some point, when it's just gore, that's not scary.
Okay, so do you like demon possession? Because I don't like those.
I just like a lot of them. I'm not going to narrow it down.
Okay.
All right, so we're doing fun movie facts. I didn't know what a rom-com was until I met Jess.
Yeah, you did.
I knew what a romantic comedy was, but I
didn't know
this...
that people call it rom-com? You really didn't know that?
No.
I didn't know that you didn't know that.
All right, so this week we have a story about Leatherface.
Well, he actually inspired 3 characters. One of them was Leatherface. So he inspired 3 of the most infamous horror film characters ever made. Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Norman Bates from Psycho, and Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. Remember, put the lotion on the skin?
Yeah.
from Silence of the Lambs.
I doubt that was inspired by him. That was just like the
not
writers.
not the
trying to be clever.
actual dialogue.
What kind of lotion did you think he used?
I don't know. I love me some cocoa butter.
Just keep going. You weren't even supposed to respond to that.
Okay. So he was a very bizarre and disturbed man. And probably one of the most bizarre men. At this point, we have a lot of bizarre characters in the world. But at this time, in the 50s, he was the most bizarre person that anyone had ever heard of.
So he's OG bizarre.
OG. Totally OG bizarre, disturbed dude. November 21st, 1957, officers searched the home of Ed Gein. He was a bit of a loner, an oddball, and he lived in this remote farmhouse right on the outskirts of town. They searched his home because of a few crimes that they suspected him in, and what they found was beyond their wildest imaginations. It was a true house of horrors, and although the house held actual literal horrors, it was actually a house of emotional horror for years and years before this. Ed Gein was born August 27th, 1906. He was brought into a world of severe alcoholism and religious fanaticism.
Sounds like my childhood.
Don't say that.
Keep going.
Don't say that. Oh, man.
Keep going.
His father, George, was an alcoholic with literally no self-worth at all. And his mother, Augusta. That's like a really powerful name. Augusta. I feel like it just sounds like a powerful name.
I knew a lady named Gusta as a kid.
Augusta? Her name was probably Augusta.
She used to hit kids with sticks.
Well, this lady hit people with sticks, too.
So I threw a rock at her. She tried to hit me with a stick.
She was just a random lady who would hit kids with a stick?
Nah, she was like the nosy lady that hung out outside.
And she would hit kids with sticks?
Yeah, like if you misbehave, she'd get like a little twitch.
Oh, well, then you deserved it.
She didn't want this smoke. I hit her with a rock.
That's terrible. Well, you were a bad kid. So, anyway, his father, George, was an alcoholic with no self-worth. His mother, Augusta, ruled the roost. She ruled the household. She belittled Ed, his brother Henry, and their father all the time. She claimed that the town that they lived in was Sodom and Gomorrah. And she forced her family to move to this remote farmhouse on the outskirts of Plainfield, Wisconsin, in the middle of nowhere, to get them away from everybody. Augusta would not let her boys out of her sight at all, their entire lives. She forced them to be around her at all times, and she was constantly insulting them and calling them sinners. She claimed that all women...
It's those religious people, just from like last episode, follow the pattern.
Not all religious people. There are religious fanatics, just like there's fanatics about other things. There are fanatics about religion. They take it too far.
I think if you're a religious person that doesn't drink beer, then you're probably a bad person.
Not a bad person.
You got to have a beer once in a while, lighten up. That means you're too strict, and you're probably one of the crazies that would take your family to a farm and put long skirts on them.
Some people
to keep
don't
them away
have
from
beer
people.
because they don't, or not beer, but alcohol, because they might have a traumatic childhood experience with alcoholism or something.
They weren't drinking when they were a kid. So
no, their family member might be.
If you could see your face, I'm in trouble.
Because you're going off on these random tangents. Okay. I don't even know where I was. I lost my place. She claimed that all women were from the devil, and that boys could not be around women at all or have any interaction with girls whatsoever their entire life. She also claimed that...
But she's a girl.
Yeah, but she believes that all women were from the devil, aside from her.
She proved a point. She was.
So, yeah, exactly. So she forbid her boys to have any interaction with any friends, boys or girls. They weren't allowed to have friends, and they especially weren't allowed to have girls that were friends. So in turn, of course, because when you're raised in that environment, you become super weird. Ed and Henry were severely bullied at school. They became, very socially awkward and weird, and kids bullied them like crazy. They didn't even understand how to socialize with other kids because they were just around their mom all the time. And their dad was drunk and, not around. They had no idea how to socialize with anyone. And their house they would just go to school and then come home and stay in their house all day, and that's all they did.
I bet they probably didn't even have TVs.
Nothing. They had no running water and no electricity.
Oh, so they probably got made fun of because they probably stunk. Because if there's no running water, they stink. They don't take baths. That sucks.
Yeah, they had no running water, no electricity, no outlet, no entertainment. They just lived in this farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere with their mother.
I'm starting to feel bad for Ed.
I have to say, I feel a little bad for Ed too. Like, if you're raised in that environment, what do you expect a child to become?
Hopefully he kills her soon.
No, he never kills her. He's obsessed with her.
What?
So, I'll get on to that. April 1st, 1940, George Gein, his father, died of a heart attack. The Gein boys were now in their early 30s. So they had lived in this environment up until their early 30s. Their dad dies, and they still stay with their mother. So it's just the two boys and their mom now in this farmhouse.
I bet they didn't have many teeth.
No, he had teeth.
All right.
Like, when you look at his pictures, he's not, like, a hideous person.
I was picturing, like, The Hills Have Eyes.
No, he doesn't look... He has a little crazy eyes going. Like, you know, he has a weird look in his eyes. But he's not...
Don't be judgy.
I'm saying, like, you can tell there's something off there.
Okay.
So, where was I at? I keep losing my spot. So the Gein boys were now in their early 30s and living alone with their mother in this remote farmhouse. And Augusta became an absolute lunatic. She made the boys believe that the whole world was against them. Henry seemed to have a little bit more sense. And Henry started to try and convince Ed that their mother was wrong, but Ed refused to believe it. He was just
he was
obsessed
brainwashed.
with her. Yeah, totally brainwashed and obsessed with her. He loved his mother. In 1944, Henry, let me just tell you a little sidebar about Henry. Henry ended up getting out in, like, between 1940 and 1944. He got out of the house. He ended up getting married.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, like, he met a woman, ended up getting married, and kept trying to convince his brother to leave, and his brother just wouldn't leave. So 1944, Henry was found dead on the property.
Oh.
So...
Mom made Ed do it.
No. Ed called the police and said that his brother was missing. Police show up, and Ed just takes them right to his body and says, oh, I think he died from smoke inhalation. So the boys were burning a bunch of, like, wood and stuff like that on the property. And Ed reported him missing first. Cops show up. He takes him right to the body, and he's dead. And they said it was a smoke inhalation death.
I choked him.
But he has bruises all over his head. But they couldn't prove that he did it.
Doesn't matter. You don't have to prove that.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying they couldn't prove it, so he didn't get charged for it.
Yeah,
or
there's
anything.
no cameras on the farm, but they know he did it.
Yeah, so they had a suspicion that he killed his brother.
They had a suspicion?
Yeah, because they couldn't actually prove it.
They need a new sheriff in that town. In New York, he would have been convicted ASAP.
They didn't move forward with the issue. Augusta started going a little nuts after that. Well, more nuts than she already was. So now it's just Augusta and Ed living in this house alone from 1944 to 1945. They never left. For the entire year, they didn't leave the house.
How did they eat? What do you mean they didn't leave?
They ate whatever they had at the house, or they grew. Jeez, that's loud.
Oh, well, I need a drink.
That, like, probably popped the mic. They ate whatever was in the house, but they didn't leave the house. So it was just the two of them for that entire year in the house. And then on December 29th, 1945, Augusta suffered a massive stroke and died. And Ed was left alone. Ed is now 39 years old. And he's been living almost 40 years, brainwashed by this woman. And now she's dead.
I wonder where they got money. You need money. Like, did any of them
They had
work?
a farm, so they grew food. I don't know where they got their money or whatever. Oh, well, I know where So as an adult... I was going to tell you this a little later. As an adult, Ed ended up becoming known as, like, the town handyman.
Okay, so he did odd jobs.
He did odd jobs around town. Everyone looked at him as an oddball, but not, like, someone who's harmful at all. They thought he was harmless. He's just a little weird.
Okay.
And they would even trust him to babysit their kids. So sometimes he would watch some of the kids in town. He did odd jobs. He was really handy and did work. He was on construction sites and stuff like that. So people trusted him, and they would pay him to do these jobs. So that's where he got some of his money. So after Augusta died, he is now completely alone and in this house, and he's just sinking deeper and deeper and deeper into insanity. He took his mother's bedroom and he sealed it off, and he left it exactly how she left it. He completely sealed it off. And then every other room he bolted shut, sealed off, and the only rooms he lived in was the kitchen and a room off to the side of the kitchen.
Well, he's a man. He probably didn't want to clean that much. If you eliminate the rooms, I wouldn't have used them either.
I mean, maybe not, but I don't know if it's that logical. So he now is living in this one room and the kitchen and slowly becoming more insane. And then he started reading books about Nazi human experiments and books about the female anatomy. And then he taught himself how to do taxidermy. Do you know what taxidermy is?
Yeah, I know some words that are more than 2 syllables.
I know.
That is where you stuff animals.
Yes, I'm just asking if you knew what it was. Stop.
She's trying to roast me on the podcast.
No, I'm not. I just didn't know if you knew what it was. In 1947, Ed had completely fallen off the deep end. So he began, this is where it starts getting super weird. Are you ready?
Yeah.
He began sneaking to the Plainfield Cemetery in the middle of the night and exhuming graves. He would bring the bodies back to the farmhouse, cut off the pieces that he wanted, and then take the rest of the bodies back to the graves and put them back in the ground.
I wonder, like, I don't know much about dead bodies, but I wonder if it was just like bones or like...
No, they were dead. They weren't completely decomposed. They were...
I know what decomposed is.
I know, Russ. They weren't completely decomposed. They were parts that he could take with skin and everything.
Okay.
Because, well, I'll tell you in a minute. So it was estimated that he robbed the graves of 40 women.
Only women.
Only women. These people with these mommy issues, I'm telling you. A lot of these killers have some serious mommy issues.
Don't abuse your kids or they'll kill people.
Don't abuse your kids. And moms if you're a bad mom, you really mess up your boys. Jeez. We could tell that from Ed Kemper and this guy. He began using the body parts to decorate his home.
Wait, like hanging arms?
Let me tell you. He made lampshades out of skin. He made waste baskets.
Yeah, he could be on Etsy.
He
Genuine leather.
Oh, God, stop. I mean, at least these weren't people that he killed. At least these were people that were already dead. They were just dead bodies, you know.
Recycling.
So he upholstered 2 chairs with skin that he'd sewn together from multiple bodies. He made face masks out of faces.
Leatherface, there it goes.
Mm-hmm. He made bowls.
What would his Etsy account be called?
I don't know. I can't think of anything clever on the spot.
Me neither. Maybe just genuine leather. Not raw cowhide. I don't know.
I don't know. I can't. I'm not that quick-witted to think of something that clever.
Okay.
Okay. So he made bowls out of skulls. Like he would take the skulls and he would cut the top off and make bowls to eat food out of.
Wow. So he's sitting in his human leather chair, eating fruity pebbles out of a skull.
Yes.
I feel like he's in the Flintstones.
It gets even worse. He made, the pull strings on like curtains or shades. He put lips on it as like a pull system.
What? Yo, HGTV got nothing on this guy. He's the OG HGTV.
He was ahead of his time in interior decorating. He, what else did he do? This was weird though. This doesn't have to do with decorating. He wanted to be his mother. Some people thought, oh, maybe he wants to be a woman. But no, he didn't want to be just a woman. He wants to be his mother. So he took a woman's torso, turned it into a vest that he would put on, and he took the leg skin from a body and turned it into stockings that he would put on. And he would put the torso and the leg stockings on and dress up like his mother.
So he did the Lady Gaga meat dress.
He did. To be his
She
mom.
thinks she's slick. She tried to be Ed Gein.
So
and now she's over here crying doing opera movies and stuff.
I love Lady Gaga. Don't hate on her.
She's boring.
No, she's not. So he wore this woman's torso. He would dress up in it at night.
Do you think he like danced around with music on and stuff?
No, I think. Did you ever see Bates Motel?
A little bit. You watched it too fast and lost me.
Well, in Bates Motel, or even in the movie Psycho, Norman Bates,
I know that,
would dress up like his mother because he would embody her.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's what he wanted to do. He had a long string of nipples that he would wear as a belt.
He had a nipple belt.
Nipple belt. He had skulls on his bedposts. And he had, under his bed, he had a box of noses.
Got your nose.
And he had a box of vulvas.
I remember what... No, I was just thinking like when my brother was a kid and I would take his nose and I'm like, got your nose. You know, you put your thumb through your fingers like this.
Yeah.
And then I would act like I ate it and he would go crazy. I'm like, I ate your nose. And I'm like, no, Mom, Russell ate my nose. And then she'd be like, he didn't eat your nose. He's lying. I'm like, oh, yes, I did.
He believed you?
Yeah. And then she'd be like, and then I would say, I threw it out the window. And she'd be like, no, he didn't. Here it is, Dave. I'm like, nope, I did, Dave. And she'd be like, Russ, give him back his nose. And I'm like, Dave, I'm never giving it back.
You were a mean older brother, jeez.
I fake took his nose.
Well, true, it wasn't that mean.
I didn't put it in a box.
True, you didn't chop it off and put it in a box and hide it under your bed.
I could have told him I did that. He would have believed me.
You guys already know because we have been talking about them for a while now. Via Hemp is by far one of our favorite sponsors we've ever had, okay? We use their products all the time. Maybe you're a little like me. You're a little anxious. You have a hard time settling down. You're kind of wound up a lot. If that's you, Via Hemp products are for you. Check out their website. You will find something that speaks to you. Maybe you're like Russ. You have a hard time sleeping because you have bad nerve pain or chronic pain. Then Via Hemp is for you because their gummies will help you get some quality sleep. Maybe you're looking to have a really good time. Maybe you just really like edibles. You want to laugh. You want to get the munchies. You want to watch a movie and have a really strong belly laugh. Then Via Hemp products are for you, okay? They're literally for everybody. So head over to viahemp.com, promo code wifeofcrime1 to get 15% off your first order. That's VIIAHEMP.com, wifeofcrime1 for 15% off your first order. Last year, Save More Money was the most popular New Year's resolution in America. Clearly, a lot of us feel like our money is slipping through our fingers. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not the best saver, and I don't know much about investing until I started saving and investing with Acorns. Turns out you don't have to be an expert at all because Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that fits you and your money goals. And I always thought that when people say, ooh, I invest in stocks, that they had a ton of money or something. Well, you don't need to be rich. Acorns lets you invest with the spare money you've got right now. You can literally start with $5. And you know you guys are spending that at Starbucks on these fancy lattes. So skip the coffee and invest with Acorns. You don't even need a ton of time. Like you can just sign up and start investing within 5 minutes. Head over to acorns.com/wifeofcrime or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. That's acorns.com/wifeofcrime. So meanwhile he's doing all of this stuff with these dead bodies, he's like the town guy who's the handyman who's in, people's houses doing handiwork, babysitting people's kids. And then at night he becomes this creature who steals body parts and creates interior design out of it. So his he was suspected in 2 known murders. And that's why police originally searched his home, because they suspected him for these murders. The first murder was a woman named Mary Hogan. She was the local tavern owner. It was called Pine Grove Tavern, and Ed was a regular there. She was a rough around the edges type of lady. She tended bar, she cursed, she drank. She was completely opposite of everything his mother was, or anything his mother. His mother would have thought she was evil.
He did it for his moms. So
I think he did it, with that in mind, with his mother's brainwashing in mind. So she went missing December 8th of 1954. And then when they searched his house 3 years later for the second crime that he was suspected in, they found her head in a burlap sack in his living room. And it had been there for 3 years.
I wonder if the sack was made out of people, too.
No, it was a burlap sack. It was made out of burlap.
Well, you know what? I didn't know what burlap was.
Okay. His last known victim, and the reason that they searched his house, was a woman named Bernice Worden. On November 16th, 1957...
Wait, he only did 3?
He only killed 2 people, possibly his brother. So possibly 3. But he was a body snatcher. He's known for being a body snatcher and being super weird.
All right. Well, he only killed 3. It's not
Russ,
that bad.
he still killed people. It doesn't matter. Killing is killing. Whether it's 1 or 10 or 50 or 70 or... It's still killing. So his last known victim was Bernice Worden. November 16th, 1957, Bernice was opening up her hardware store. She was a hardware store owner. And Ed stepped in and shot her. He took the body back to his farmhouse. Her son, Frank, Bernice's son, Frank, was the sheriff's deputy. And when he found out his mother was missing, his first thought was Ed Gein. Because the day before, he saw Ed in their hardware store acting really bizarre. And at the time, he didn't think anything of it. But then when his mother went missing, it was the first thing that popped into his head.
You got to trust your instincts.
Exactly. So he had these instincts.
How do you react to that?
He went and got a search warrant for his house.
No, I'm saying this guy's acting weird in my mom's store. I mean, you could tell him get out, but you can't kill him or tell the cops. The cops aren't gonna arrest him because he's acting weird.
No, he remembered he was acting weird 2 days later.
I was thinking, how do you prevent it? Oh, because I'm always trying to live.
Yes.
I lock doors and stuff.
You can't prevent someone else from acting weird.
I do push-ups.
You can't
stay fit, people. Stay alive.
You can't prevent someone else from acting bizarre. You can't really. You just get away from them if they're being bizarre. It's the only thing you can do.
Well, maybe if he tried to stop him, he'd be dead too.
True. So Frank remembered Ed acting weird and immediately focused his energy on searching the property. He had a gut feeling about this property. So he got a search warrant. Now put yourself in the police shoes, okay? It's nighttime. You're in a remote farmhouse. You come up to a remote farmhouse in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere, with no electricity, no running water, complete pitch black. All you have are your flashlights. And you first search the barn. And you walk in the barn and you see Bernice Worden's corpse hanging upside down, headless, and completely gutted.
Hanging from something by a rope? Or what do you mean hanging?
Yeah, hanging upside down, gutted like a deer. You know how they hang a deer and they gut it?
He's drying the skin out so he can make something with it.
And he took all the organs out and her head is gone. And the cops walk into that in the dark, in a farmhouse with just flashlights. I would be scared to death.
You know what I would do? I'd hey guys, I think we'll come back tomorrow in the daylight. Let's just pretend we didn't see this and we'll be back.
They were freaked, but they continued to search his house. And
I wonder how many there were.
Where they found everything.
If it was 2 sheriffs and a deputy, deputy's always a little chubby and dummy.
No, they're not.
You ever watch TV?
Deputies are chubby and dumb?
Yeah.
I don't even know what a deputy really is.
It's the sidekick of the sheriff.
They're not chubby and dumb. There's probably some sheriff's deputy
They probably try
family
really-
that's listening, and you're going to offend them saying that their dad is chubby and dumb.
Well, I'm going by the stereotypes in the shows.
In TV. Because we don't really have...
Shout out to the deputies who listen.
Sheriff's deputies here? We don't have that.
No, we
here.
got NYPD.
I know. I don't know how it works. I don't know how law enforcement works in other places, in these like rural areas.
I think they have to vote for a sheriff or something. It's like a
It's like a thing.
election, and they have a deputy.
Oh.
Or maybe not. Maybe that's just in old westerns.
I don't know.
But that town definitely had a sheriff. It wasn't like a...
No, they did have a sheriff.
It wasn't Wisconsin PD.
But like I told you, Bernice Warden's son, Frank, was the sheriff's deputy. Her son.
Yeah, so he was the sheriff's deputy, so he was a little chubby.
Oh, God. Leave him alone. So when they entered the house, they were in the pitch black. They see this. They're completely freaked out because you have to remember, this is 1950s. This is like a small town in middle America. We're talking the movie Pleasantville. Do you remember the movie Pleasantville where they go back, the kids from the 90s go back to the 50s in the black and white town and everything's perfect and everyone knows each other and there's no crime? That's how this place was.
I know what you're talking about
So-
because you started that movie, but I couldn't watch that boring shit.
I know,
long.
but you know
it just
what I
went black and white
mean.
in the middle, and they were like,
You know what I mean? It's like the middle of middle America, perfect place. No crime. Everyone knows everybody.
so it's kind
for
of
them,
like
this
Bedford
is
Falls.
Bedford Falls. Very Bedford Fallsy.
That's from It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes, it's very Bedford Fallsy. No crime. So they come in, they see this, and they're just freaked. Then they start searching his house, and they find all the things I told you about earlier. All the skin and the heads and the lips and the vulvas and the torso and everything.
They were very courageous. I would have left.
I know you would have. You're a wimp when it comes to stuff
I'm not
like
a
that.
wimp.
When it comes to stuff like that, you're a wimp.
I'm alive.
But you are a wimp when it comes to things like surprisingly, you're not super wimpy with haunted houses.
I'm not afraid of people, but you see stuff like that. Like if it's Ed Gein, me and him standing there, I'm not scared of one dude, but you don't know what's going on when you go in. There could be booby traps and all kind of stuff. There could be trap doors. There could be...
Yeah,
No,
you don't
I'm
know
not,
what you're going
I'm from
into.
New York. We're not scared of people. We're scared of stuff we can't see. We could see you, we ain't scared.
Okay, so Ed Gein became an instant celebrity, right?
Another serial killer celebrity.
Yeah, he became a celebrity.
talking about
People
him.
were fascinated by him. The media ate it up because this is something they've never. This is the 50s. No one has ever heard of anything like this. Okay, they didn't have horror films. He inspired the horror films that
And this
we
is
know of.
this is probably the infancy of media. So this has probably happened so many times before, but there wasn't real media. At this point, I guess like radio and TV is getting more popular.
Oh yeah, I'm sure weird stuff has happened like this before, but this was the
You just
first
don't
time
know.
anyone has heard about it.
People just got away with it.
So the once small town,
There's probably meat dresses everywhere.
the once small town of Plainfield is now bustling with reporters. They're everywhere, and they're from all over
Good
the country.
for tourism. Businesses
Well,
booming.
no, the people were not happy with it. They don't
Yeah,
want
but
to
they were
talk to
buying-
these people about this.
Yeah, but they were buying stuff they got to eat.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. Later that year, Ed Gein entered a plea of insanity, and he was locked up in Central State Hospital for the criminally insane.
Fair to say he's insane.
I agree with you. Years later, he stayed there until they thought that he was fit to stand trial, because before he was too insane to even stand trial or comprehend what was happening. He started, at the hospital. He actually worked as an orderly. He was a very good patient.
What's an orderly?
They help give out medications to patients or control rowdy patients or things like that. So he helped in he did a lot for the place. He was very model patient, and they decided, okay, 10 years later, I think it was, you're able to stand trial.
They did not let him out.
No, they didn't let him out.
Oh, because I was about to get annoyed.
He ended up being sentenced to be put there for life, for the rest of his life. So he went back to the mental institution, and he stayed there until he died of lung cancer years later. A Wisconsin native turned writer named Robert Block was fascinated by this whole story, but he was really fascinated by the dysfunctional and creepy relationship between Ed and his mom. And because that's really what stemmed everything. So since he was so
That's the
fascinated...
boringest part to me.
Well, since he was so fascinated by it, he decided to incorporate it into a book that he was already writing. And that book was called Psycho. And that became the premise for Norma and Norman Bates in the book and then later movie Psycho.
What's his name again?
Norman Bates.
No.
Oh, Robert Bloch.
Shout out to Robert Bloch. I like Psycho.
So Robert Bloch then sold the rights to Psycho to Alfred Hitchcock, who we know is a famous horror director.
Yeah.
And Alfred Hitchcock turned it into the movie Psycho and brought it to life on the silver screen. And that was the first time anyone had ever seen a character have this type of relationship, dysfunctional relationship, to the point where it got completely out of hand with his mother. Later, director Tobe Hooper released a low-budget film called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, the original. Did you ever see that?
No, I've never seen the original.
Oh, it's weird.
I don't like horror movies until I met you, and then honestly, I started watching more horror movies when me and you got together.
Well, it's not. They can't kill you through your TV, don't
I know, but it still freaks me out. But maybe I'll watch it because I did read up on this whole story, so now maybe I'll watch it. So
I went over to my friend's house when I was like in the 5th grade. I think it was somewhere around there. It was before like junior high school. And my mom was like weird religious, but I didn't turn into a killer. Don't worry, people. And his mom wasn't weird religious, and he had the original Chainsaw Massacre, and he was like, "Russ, you gotta see this. This is crazy." And I remember watching it there. I don't remember everything, so it'd be interesting to watch it again. But it was really weird.
Let's watch it after this.
Okay.
Well, when we're done recording, we'll watch it.
Okay.
Okay. Hopefully I don't have nightmares, because I do. Russ will tell you I have nightmares when I watch scary things.
And she wakes up and she still thinks it's real. And if she has a dream and I did something in the dream, she'll wake up and she'll be a little mad at me. But
all women are like that.
I don't play that game. Be mad by yourself because I was sleeping.
All women do that though. Maybe not all, but a lot. So
Don't be dumb, women. Don't do that.
Tobe Hooper released
We were sleeping.
Tobe Hooper released the low-budget film Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Leatherface was inspired by Ed Gein. And then finally, in 1988, a book called Silence of the Lambs came out, and the character named Buffalo Bill was a combination of two killers, one of them being Ed Gein, and the other one being Jerry Brudos, which is the serial killer who was obsessed with women's shoes.
Was he from Mindhunter?
Yeah, well, they had him in Mindhunter. He was one of the serial killers they interviewed, the one that was obsessed with women's shoes, and he would cut their feet off and have the shoes.
I don't remember the whole thing. I just remember them giving him shoes.
Well, maybe I'll tell you about Jerry Brudos on another episode.
Okay, or I'll watch the show.
So Buffalo Bill was inspired by Jerry Brudos and Ed Gein. And then, later, I just remembered this as I'm talking, American Horror Story. It was the second season, I think, when she got out of
hit or miss.
Well, the second season was good. That was the asylum season. When she got out, remember the psychiatrist was inspired by Ed Gein.
I didn't love the second season, but I didn't know that either. Oh, the psychiatrist that did the experiments on people and stuff?
No, not that one. The psychiatrist that helped her get out, I think.
Okay.
One of them, I don't know, but it was inspired by Ed Gein in the movie, the show American Horror Story. In the year 2000, someone stole Ed Gein's tombstone.
That's kind of dope.
It was lost for a while, but then they recovered it.
That'd be kind of cool to have in your house.
I would never bring anything from a serial killer in my house.
I wouldn't.
I
wouldn't steal nothing from a cemetery, but it's kind of a crazy thing to have.
It has weird energy.
That's true. That's like some movies. Right there, I created a scary movie. Someone make that movie. They steal the tombstone. Ed Gein possesses the house. Good movie.
Well, John Wayne Gacy, who is another serial killer, used to sell art while he was in jail. He created this art.
Is that the clown?
Mm-hmm. Turns out later, come to find out, it wasn't even him doing the art. He was paying artists that were other inmates in jail to make this art. And then he would sign it. And then all these people bought it.
He's a scammer and a killer.
All these people bought it for tons of money.
Respect. I ain't mad at you, man.
People have it in their house.
Get your hustle on.
No, but I would never bring something that a serial killer created in my house.
But I would sell other people's paintings for money and say it was me.
Well, that just makes you a fraud.
That isn't broke.
Well, it still makes you a fraud.
I'd rather be a fraud than broke. Keep going.
In 2000, someone stole Ed Gein's tombstone, and then later it was recovered, and to this day, it sits in the basement of the Plainfield PD.
Oh, so he's tombstoneless.
And that's where it sits. Yes, he's tombstoneless.
I guess he doesn't really deserve one. But he only killed 3 people.
He still killed people, and he still was super weird.
The grave robbing, that's super weird, but it's not killing people.
It's not, but it's on another level of gross.
I wonder what they did with, like, his skull bowls and, like...
I don't know what they did with all the
meat
evidence.
curtains and...
I don't know. You can look up pictures of it.
I want to know where it is.
I don't know. Maybe they burned it. I don't know what they did with it.
You can auction that stuff off.
I doubt it. I mean, people are into some weird stuff, so people might buy it. I just want to know, like, why are we fascinated by these just super It's almost like a car crash that you can't help but look at. Like,
Nope, I don't rubberneck. I keep going. I'm not causing traffic. I'm not that guy.
You're missing my point. Why are we, as a society, so fascinated? Why are we celebrating Ed Gein but not talking about Mary Hogan or Bernice Worden?
I don't know who they are.
His victims that I just told you about.
I don't remember names. I just remember it was ladies he killed.
Well, why are we celebrating him, making characters out of him and everything, and then... I mean, even us. Why are we so fascinated? Why am I so fascinated?
We don't talk about these ladies because they probably just went to work and went home. They didn't do anything out of the ordinary. These guys are doing things that most people don't do.
I just find it...
Same way we watch basketball because these guys could dunk like most people can't.
I know. I just find it strange. I mean, I'm one of them. I'm completely guilty because I'm obsessed with true crime and I'm obsessed with understanding the minds of killers and all that stuff. It's just interesting to me that as a society, we are just like so consumed with hearing this weird stuff and trying to understand it.
It gets ratings.
But
they put it on TV because people watch it.
Genuinely interested. You know me. I'm genuinely interested in this stuff.
I just like scary movies. I'm not, like, super interested in researching killers and stuff.
Yeah, I am. I find it really fascinating.
I hear about them when you tell me them, mostly. But I've probably heard, like, a few things throughout the internet. Like, when you go down the dark rabbit hole of YouTube, every now and then you click on something weird like that, like a serial killer or something.
Yeah.
But it usually started out with puppies.
It's true.
I was watching puppies.
You start off watching something super innocent, and then it turns into some really... You just keep click, and then you're watching some crazy stuff.
And then I'm watching 3 girls fight in a parking lot. All right, so we're wrapping it up now.
All right, well, that's Ed Gein. He inspired a lot of crazy stuff. Let's go watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Go to wifeofcrime.com. And we'll see you next time.
And Wife of Crime Pod on Instagram, so you can keep up with all my posts that I post. And check out the picture that I posted of Russ putting the chair underneath the handle of all the doors in the Catskills.
I might have saved our life.
Airbnb.
She doesn't know someone's
scared
coming in.
of the woods. No. You're such a city slicker.
I'm scared of things I can't see, and I don't really like bugs, but not people.
But you're scared of...
All right, see you next time, everyone.